everybody, thank you for joining me on my pathway to podiatry. Hey. Oh, you guys almost don't like questions? Okay. So today I decided to do a quick Q&A. If you are not following me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I'll pop it up right here. I asked you guys in my stories to ask me a couple of questions just to do a quick update, Q&A if you guys had any questions. I had started recording an internal med rotation vlog, but I was very quickly realizing that it would be very similar to my last vlog in that I would not be able to provide too much footage of like what I was actually doing because of patient privacy and things of that nature. So if you don't have something to drink, get some tea, some coffee, whatever you want to drink, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. It's still pretty hot. Just in case you have never seen any of my videos, I am currently a third-year podiatry student at Barry, and I like to upload a lot of videos on my pathway to podiatry, all the things that I've experienced on the way. And if you're interested in more videos, make sure that you subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. So first question, how have your study habits changed over time? This is a really good question because I have found like this question has made me look back and reevaluate like how I have changed over the years. But crazy to say, I'm already in my third year, but in my first year, I remember my study habits changing drastically from undergrad to first year, in that I was studying more group-based because that helped me a lot with class material and all the details that you had to remember for all of these different classes. As I started getting further into the curriculum, I started getting more comfortable with knowing my strengths and my weaknesses. So in the beginning, I used to put in much more time, much more effort in, and I still have to. It's not like I'm like a genius all of a sudden, but I've found ways to stress myself out less and kind of balance a lot better. This semester, I'm taking a lot of different classes, and to be honest with you, taking classes in front of a computer screen hasn't been very great in me kind of getting much information from the class. So this semester I've been doing a lot of self-learning, which is a little more difficult. What is your fave self-care thing to do? So I have a couple of things that I love to do for self-care. I love spending time with my husband. I love going to the nail salon and doing my nails. Like that's like what I've been doing all the time, and it's like the best thing. I've been like reading more, and I like that too. Yoga is great. Working out is great. A lot of different things for self-care, and that's super important. So if you're not taking the time to do something you love every once in a while in the midst of all this craziness, please start doing it. Next question, what's one of the hardest things you've had to do that you're proud to have overcome? Definitely preparing for my boards and passing my boards, for sure. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and I'm so proud that I overcame that. Next question, favorite part of your clinical experience so far and least favorite too? Okay, so favorite part of my clinical experience definitely has to be the fact that it feels like it's a lot easier to understand and grasp the material that's like in front of you. So the fun thing about clinical experience or clinical rotations is that you kind of see everything that you studied in your first and second year like in your face. Like this patient is like really experiencing what I read in this textbook like, I don't know, a couple months ago. And it's like, okay, now I'm kind of putting this all into like real life perspective, because it's different, but it's also fun because you get to really know it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like much more easier to comprehend. You tend to forget things less. Like I'm starting to really remember things and like practice what I'm reading. So that's what I've been enjoying the most. And also seeing things like seeing what you will be doing for the rest of your life, actually like doing it, not fully doing it, because some rotations, you don't do as much, you shadow more, whatever, but you get to see people who are doing the things that you will be doing and their day-to-day that stuff. So it's like a lot more inspiring than sitting in a lecture hall for hours for classes. My least favorite is, I don't know. Well, actually, no, I do know. I know what my least favorite thing so far is. So far, for all my clinical rotations, I've been placed at all of the sites by myself. So I've been the only Barry student at any rotation I've done, and I've done the in-person rotations, because my radio rotation was with a group of people, but I've done 2 pod rotations, and right now I'm doing my internal med rotation, and I'm solo dolo. So that is my least favorite, because I do enjoy the aspect of being the only one with a clinical instructor, so that they're more, I guess they're more like invested in you, and like you get to learn more, you get to ask more questions, you kind of get closer to the clinical instructor. Sometimes, you know, when you get those hard questions from your CIs, you just wish you had, you know, like a buddy to like help you out, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, it takes off like more pressure, but that's the only thing I think so far that I've not liked. My mom asked me, "Tu me quieres?" which means, do you love me? And yes, mommy, I do love you so much. What is the workload of your 3rd year in comparison to your previous 2 years? This is a good question, cause whoa. The workload is like so crazy compared to your first 2 years, because you only have to worry about lectures. You only have to worry about classes and tests and quizzes. And yes, that is a lot. But in your 3rd year, you have to worry about all that plus your clinical rotations. So if you haven't seen my previous vlog, on Mondays and Tuesdays, I have classes basically all day long. And I have a lot of classes in front of the computer, and all these classes have their tests, they have their quizzes, they have their lectures, whatever. And then from Monday through Friday, I have my clinical rotations. And sometimes clinical rotations, you kind of just go and see, like, go with the flow, whatever's going on, you catch on, whatever. But some you have to like actually prepare for, like refresh your memory on certain things. Like my internal med, like I have to look back at like how you care for patients with certain things like diabetes or hypertension, like drugs and all that stuff. And so all those things, like you have to actually prepare for before you go physically to the rotation. So that adds more to your plate. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But you can do it. Everybody does it. It's fine. You get used to it, I guess. How did you study for boards, and any specific resources? I'm coming out with a video on that, and I have held off on it just because I want to post it in a time that's like closer to when people will actually start studying for it. So like mid-December, I'll probably post that video, and I do plan on posting it with my 2 friends just so you guys get to see different perspectives. So stay tuned for that video. Someone asked, how is my day going? So far my day is going absolutely wonderful. Thank you for asking. What do you see mostly during your IM rotation? So I've only been there for 1 week, and the clinical instructor that I'm with on Wednesdays, she does the wound clinic. So on Wednesday, I saw so many different wounds, and it was crazy because I saw a lot of patients that were like her follow-up patients, not like new patients that she had just started working with. And like the ulcers she was dealing with, you can tell have been like healing over time and like getting smaller and smaller. And every single time she would finally see the wounds, like when I would go in with her in the room, she would be so like happy to see that the wound had closed a lot more. So I'm excited to see for the rest of the month. I'm sorry, my camera died, so I had to whatever. So back to, this was the last question, by the way. What do you see mostly during IM rotations, and would you say it's somewhat applicable as a podiatry student? So before my camera shut off, I was talking about how Wednesday she does wound care, and that is super 100% applicable to podiatry, and it's fascinating. I'm excited to go next week just to see all the patients that she took care of on this past Wednesday, just to see their progress, because she uses such cool things like collagen, skin grafts, and stuff like that. So for me, being the first time that obviously I've seen like debridements and things like that in my podiatry rotations, but I haven't been to like a wound clinic for a rotation. So it's really cool that she does that, like one day of the week, and I get to see it. So yes, that's 100% for Pod. And during IM rotation, so the other days she has like clinic in her office, so she'll have patients come in and they have all sorts of different problems. And for me, I think it's also applicable to podiatry, because you see all those drugs that you studied in pharmacology and all the steps of action when it comes to care for different situations or diseases. You see it being practiced in her office. It's really good practice, just because when I learned things in pharm, it was very like, okay, memorize, memorize, memorize. And now I'm seeing like really what it's being used for, and it's refreshing my mind a lot, because it's insane the amount of information you learn for an exam that just vanishes your head when you don't really exercise and practice it. That concludes all of the questions. I really appreciate you guys asking me questions. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch in with you guys in the next one. Bye.